The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was a popular action series that first aired on the Fox Kids lineup in August of 1993.
The story is about a team of teenagers, Zach, Kimberly, Billy, Trini, and Jason, who receive colorful dinosaur-themed supersuits and an arsenal of weapons by an ancient wizard named Zordon so they can fight the evil space sorceress named Rita Repulsa. After 10,000 years of imprisonment, Rita was accidentally released from her muffin-shaped space dumpster on the moon by a couple of bumbling astronauts. Rita doesn't waste a second. The moment she's free, she sets her sights on conquering the Earth. On her moon-based headquarters, Rita and her gang of monsters plan nefarious schemes to try to take over the Earth. But normally it boils down to Rita having Finster create a monster from clay, send that monster down to Earth to fight the Power Rangers. Then Rita usually throws her magic scepter to the Earth and exclaims, "Make the monster growl!" And this is when the show got next level awesome. The Rangers summon their Zords, gigantic dinosaur mechs that unite like Devastator to create the kick-ass Megazord.
Megazord activated.
The two Wamba-sized giants duke it out. Then, Megazord swings his mighty sword and slices Rita's monster so hard that it combusts into a fiery display. The teens hang out at the recreation center and Bulk and Skull come along and do their slapstick routine. Credits over freeze frame? Tune in next time. The show was goofy, formulaic, and cheesier than a quesadilla. But just like a good quesadilla, it was the perfect thing to digest after a long day of school.
I just hope Rita isn't hungry for trouble today.
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is what you would get if you threw Wizard of Oz, Voltron, Gamera, Transformers, and Saved by the Bell all into a blender and hit Frappe. It was the right mixture of all the great action and adventure stories that preceded it. The show felt original, yet familiar. Oh, and that theme song?
Fire all weapons!
Freaking badass.
The show became a phenomenon and captured the hearts of 90s kids. It was also fortuitous that the show with its dinosaur aesthetic was released only 2 months after the success of Jurassic Park. Man, there was a lot of dinosaur shit that came out that year. We're Back, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. 1993 was the year of the dinosaur, baby. Many of you may know that the fight sequences in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were not originally created for the show. They were in fact footage from the 16th installment of the long-running Super Sentai series called
Kyouryu Sentai Zyuranger!
or Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger.
And it's a series that centers around a team of heroes who can morph into colorful crime fighters to combat evil.
Sound familiar? Episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were written to match the action sequences of Zyuranger. In some case, Toei, the studio that produces Sentai, actually filmed new Power Ranger exclusive footage using their production team. This is commonly referred to by the fans as Zyu2 footage.
Although the two shows share some aesthetic similarities, they are completely different entities with their own unique stories. Kyouryu Sentai Zyuranger tells the tale of ancient prehistoric humans who coexisted with dinosaurs 170 million years ago. These tribes were attacked by an evil witch named Bandora and her followers. Bandora eradicated all dinosaurs on the planet, but was ultimately sealed away by each of the tribe's guardian beasts. Flash forward to 170 million years into the future, to 1992. Bandora was released from her space muffin prison and began her reign of terror while riding a magical flying bike through Japan. Bandora comes face to face with her old adversary, Baza, an immortal wizard who also happens to be a part-time apartment administrator. Baza is easily bested by Bandora's evil magic and is forced into his secret temple bunker 2,000 stories below the apartment building so he can awaken the 5 ancient warriors: Lithia Tribe Princess May, Dime Tribe Knight Boy, Etolf Tribe Knight Dan, Sharma Tribe Knight Ghosh, and their leader, Yamato Tribe Prince Geki, the Zyurangers. These rangers were placed in 170 million years sleep only to be awoken when Bandora returned to Earth. The leader of the bunch, Geki, is the Tyranno Ranger and the Warrior of Justice. Geki leads the squadron into battle to fend off the forces of evil. He fights for what he believes is moral and true. Ghosh, the Mammoth Ranger and the Warrior of Wisdom, uses his mental and physical prowess in combat. Ghosh has a score to settle with Bandora for her being responsible for his sister's death. Don the Tricera Ranger is the Warrior of Courage and is used frequently for comic relief. He's the more childish of the team, but shows a lot of character growth as the series progresses. He may not be the sharpest of the squad, but when he shines bright. Boy the Tiger Ranger and the Warrior of Hope is the youngest of the team at age 15, or 170 million in 15 if you include the 170 million year slumber. Like Don, Boy is mainly played for comic relief, and is very quirky. He loves to eat, but is a worse chef than Bender. He's swift, agile, and has even dabbled in the arts of ninjutsu. Next up, we have the 5th member of the team, Terror Ranger Warrior of Love, May. May is brave, acrobatic, and uses her compassion to strengthen others. She is very much an endearing character. She's also very fashionable, and is a master of disguise. A 6th Ranger, Yamato Knight Bhura, and the Warrior of Power is introduced in episode 17. Bhura is Geki's older brother. He starts off as a villain, gives the Rangers a fight for their lives, but eventually joins forces and battles alongside them. However, he is living on borrowed time, having been crushed during the Ice Age while he was in a slumber. Of course, heroes are only as good as their adversaries, and this show is testament to that. Bandora and the gang are surprisingly some of the more lovable characters in this show. Gurifaza is a golden-winged griffin beast man who wields a mighty sword. He's the strongest of the Bandora gang and is often matched up against Geki in combat. Unlike his Mighty Morphin Power Rangers counterpart, Goldar, Grifazor is mute for the first part of the series. Lami, Grifazor's wife, joins the team a little later in the series. She lends her strength to Bandora in exchange for her husband to be able to speak. Unfortunately for poor Lami, Grifazor's first words weren't what she wanted to hear. Lami has the ability to change from a beautiful woman to a hideous scorpion monster. One thing I really liked about her was that she was very loyal to her husband and even showed her concern for him during battle on multiple occasions. And the way she called him darling is freaking adorable. Next up on our villains list is Puribukan, a leprechaun sculptor that is responsible for creating the Golden Foot Soldiers and all the Dora monsters. He's invented a wild variety of beasts, many based off of creatures from Greek mythology. Each monster to Puribukan is a well thought out masterpiece. He takes pride in his work and strives for perfection. Puribukan is very particular about his monsters and insists on only offering his greatest creations to Bandora. Next we have the last of the Bandora gang, Bokubaku, a goofy troll, and Totobato, a vampire alchemist. These two are like the boy and Dan of the villain's side. And by that I mean they're the comedy duo. They actually acknowledge the fact that they don't do much and try their best to impress Bandora. Bokubaku and Totopato kinda remind me of C-3PO and R2-D2, especially with Totopato's restrictive arm movements. These two are also responsible for creating one of the show's most infamous monster, the Dora Tortoise. Look it's a tortoise with a traffic signal on its back. That is the coolest thing ever. Bokubaku and Totopato are a lot of fun, and they nearly defeat the Zyurangers on a few separate occasions, by themselves. Too bad they're nothing but a couple of clowns that just screw everything up in the end. Now the main antagonist of Kyouryu Sentai Zyuranger is by far my favorite part of the entire show, and that is of course, Bandora.
She reminds me of an amalgamation of the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz and Jareth the Goblin King from Labyrinth. Many of Bandora's evil schemes revolve around children. Bandora hates kids and happy families. Why? More on that in a bit. You may have noticed that Bandora looks a lot like Rita Repulsa, and that is because she is the same actress.
And her voice was dubbed by Barbara Goodson in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
So you think you can stop me, do you?
Bandora is played by the late great Machiko Soga, and she gives a fantastic performance as the sympathetic villain you love to hate. Her main goal in the series is to gather children to perform a dark ritual to revive her boss, Dai Satan, or Great Satan. That's right, she's fucking summoning the Dark Lord himself. It's not like Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball where it's some guy named Satan. This is literally Satan, or the Zyurangers version of him. Still, it's kind of funny. Next time you watch Power Rangers and you see Rita Repulsa rubbing his skull and spewing gibberish, just remember in Zyurangers, it was a little more satanic. For a Satan-worshipping villain, Bandora is a lot more complex than you may think if you're only familiar with her Mighty Morphin Power Ranger counterpart Rita Repulsa. She's not just the Japanese version of Rita. She's an entirely different character with her own unique motives, characteristics, and backstory. She's also a really nice boss who genuinely cares about her subordinates.
She also has a very catchy theme song.
Dai Satan, the true villain of the series, is fucking awesome. His design reminds me of a Yoshitaka Amano illustration of a Final Fantasy penultimate boss. Or maybe Needleball from Yu-Gi-Oh! Either one. He only appears in a handful of episodes, but when he comes, shit gets real. One episode he fuses with zombie Frankenstein to create Satan Franke, an ugly, unholy, hellion nightmare-inducing abomination. The Zyurangers have a sweet artillery of weapons. To start off, they use their Dino Bucklers to transform into their Ranger modes. They each have laser gun weapons like the Ranger Stick and the Thunderslinger. Then there's their main melee munition, the legendary weapons. According to myth, these 5 weapons emerge from the severed necks of a 5-headed dragon. The Ryukeki Sword, Mothbreaker, Tricara Lance, Saber Dagger, and the Terra Arrows can unite to create the Howling Cannon. And oh man, it is sweet! I love when they whip this shit out. When the monster gets big, the Zyurangers call forth their Guardian Beast. The Guardian Beasts unite to form Daijujin. Bry also has his very own Guardian Beast, Dragon Caesar, that he controls with the Sword Flute Zusoken. Caesar can combine with Zoo Mammoth, Triceratops, and Saber Tiger to form Kyouryu. Or with Daijujin to form Zute Daijujin. And if that wasn't enough, there's a 7th mech to join in on the fun called Beast Knight God King Brachion. King Brachion can combine with Zute Daijujin to create Kyukyoku Gatai Ultimate Daijujin. That's a mouthful. You may think that the Guardian Beasts are just giant robots, but in fact, they're gods that can talk and frequently give the Zyurangers advice. Yeah, when I found that out, my mind exploded. Another fun thing to note is that, unlike the Power Rangers, the Zyurangers had motorcycles. Wait a second. Didn't the Power Rangers also have motorcycles? Ah, that's where it gets interesting. There were Power Ranger motorcycle toys, but the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the show, never showcased any motorcycles. Well, actually, there are a few scenes in the background where you can see them, but that doesn't count. They never ride them because why would they? They have teleporters and the rad bug. Speaking of the rad bug, it actually can be seen in Zyurangers, and it's piloted by Crockle, a man who looks like Luigi.
The first few episodes of the show are spent introducing the Zyurangers and how they obtain their gadgets. We learn of the world and how Bandora is responsible for the extinction of the dinosaurs. However, there's still hope for the dinosaurs to flourish once again. Inside an ancient chest, there are 2 dinosaur eggs that have survived over the eons. These magical eggs are the key to reviving all dinosaurs on the Earth.
The dinosaur eggs are a recurring MacGuffin in the series, so I guess that makes them the Egg MacGuffins. The Resurrection of Bry is the next story arc. Blinded by his vengeance, Bry makes an alliance with Bandora to defeat Geki and avenge his father's death. Bhura rids himself of the hatred that was consuming him and finds new purpose in life and becomes the 6th member of the squadron. As I mentioned before, Bry has only a few hours left to live. In order to preserve his remaining life, Bry enters his chamber where time is infinite. But once the green candle melts, he will die. However, hope is not lost. Barza learns of a life-restoring elixir that can save Bry. Dan and Ghosh are chosen by the gods to retrieve it, but without their dino bucklers. Bandora locates the time chamber and tricks Bry out of it and blows it to smithereens. With only a few hours remaining, Bry decides to use what time he has left to make a little boy named Kota happy. Bry has foreseen Kota's death, but wishes to prevent it. Dan and Ghosh fight like hell, but were unable to make it in time. Bry tells Geki to use the elixir to save Kota instead of him. As Bry rides the rickshaw to the next world, we see that Kota will not be joining him, and Bry smiles. It's nice to see Bry go from bloodthirsty villain to honorable hero. His death also affected his guardian beast, Dragon Caesar. Aww, poor Dragon Caesar. The final story arc focuses on the origin story of Bandora, the resurrection of her son Kai, and the return of Dai Satan. The finale is very sad. We learn that Bandora wasn't always evil, but was once a queen and a loving mother who was heartbroken when her son was killed by a dinosaur. Even though the little shit had it coming, he was crushing the eggs for fun. In her grief, Bandora sells her soul to Dai Satan in order to get vengeance for her son's death. Kai pilots the strongest of the Dora monsters, Dora Talus, and fights along Dai Satan in the grand finale against the Zyurangers. And in this fight we see each of the guardian beasts deliver a blow, and every single variation of Daijujin take on the Dora Talus and Dai Satan. And when they whip out Kyukoku, Ultimate Daijujin, oh yeah baby, what a great capper. Dai Satan is gone forever, and Kai returns to his mother and dies in her arms for the 2nd time. Bandora sheds a tear, which causes her to lose her dark magic abilities. Then Daijujin seals Bandora and the gang into a teapot and launches it into space. Even though the Bandora gang loses, they still get a happy ending. Lammy gives birth to her and Griffosaur's baby, and Bandora gets over her hatred for children. Back on Earth, the dinosaur eggs hatch, and the Zyurangers and Barza say farewell as they ride off on a cloud. We see a montage of their adventures, and the story of Kyouryu Sentai Zyuranger comes to a close. The first time I watched this, I was really sad to see it end. Over the span of 50 episodes, I really grew attached to these characters, and I wanted to see more. I guess I'm spoiled because in Power Rangers, they kept their Rangers longer. At its core, Zyurangers is a fun, high-energy romp, but what makes the show endearing is its profound themes of life, death, and rebirth. Bry learns to appreciate the sanctity of life and ultimately accepts his own death. After her son's death, Bandora is reborn as an evil witch whose morals differ from the person she once was. The dinosaur eggs represent the rebirth of dinosaurs and demonstrate that nothing ever truly dies. Because I grew up watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it was cool to see the show that was responsible for its existence. And now watching an episode of Power Rangers for me is finding out where the Sentai footage came from. Maybe one day I'll do an in-depth video of all the techniques that Saban used to create Power Rangers from Sentai. Funny thing is that the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was brought to Japan and dubbed over by Japanese actors. That's right, it's a Japanese dub of an American localization of a Japanese show. It's come full circle. If that wasn't enough, Reika Chiba, who portrayed Mei in Zyurangers, dubbed the voice of her American counterpart Kimberly.
No way. Really? 1万年ぶりの自由の身。さあ、地球征服じゃ。
Wait a second, I recognize that voice.
世界最大の魔女。
Oh my god. Machiko Soga dubbed over the person who dubbed over her voice. Ah! That is crazy. If you're interested in watching Kyouryu Sentai Zyuranger, I highly recommend going over to shoutfactory.com and watch it now. All 50 episodes of the series are available for streaming and are free. But if you have some disposable income, you should totally snatch the 10-disc DVD box set of Zyuranger. The more DVDs Shout sells, the more Sentai series we get in the future. And maybe even some pre-Zoo shows? Jetto man. Alright, that wraps this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you'd like to contribute to my Patreon page, there is a link in the description. Even $1 helps, and hopefully, if I get enough followers, I can quit my day job. This is 8-Bit Otter saying thanks for watching and have a good one.